r/pro revenge. Posted by user Ethan Alphasfat. Take my tips and pay me below minimum wage. See what happens. Apologize in advance for the wall of text, but this has layers. So this all happened years ago when I was still in college. I worked for a delivery joint. The company seemed super cool, because they provided vehicles instead of forcing you to beat down your own car. Huge perk, right? Well, in this case, no. The owner of the company used this as justification to take a percentage of the driver's tips. Often this would result in an employee making below minimum wage. If you made below minimum wage, you would have to come and pick up your check in person and sign a document attesting that you did make minimum wage, due to undocumented cash tips. Or some such nonsense. Now, this was a problem for two reasons. Number one, in the state I was in, employee tips belong to the employee, unless part of an employee tip pooling agreement. This was plain as day on the Department of Labor website. So that 20% gouge was already crossing a line. Number two, you cannot just hand wave or force employees to say they made above minimum wage. So pretty shady shit, right? Now, most people would see this situation and run for the hills, which probably explained the delivery driver turnover being so high. I, on the other hand, saw the potential. See, I am pretty well versed in labor law, and decided that I was gonna ride it out. I wanted to see how long they would keep this shit up. Here and there I would make comments to the managers about the legality of their practices, and was often told, "Our lawyers said it's okay, so it's okay, would love to meet these lawyers one day." So I patiently waited for a year, documenting every red cent they took from me and encouraging the other drivers to do so. Every new driver that came through that door, got a little powwow with me, and I would give them the skinny. Unfortunately, my plan must have leaked because sooner than later, the joint decided to fire me after making up 3 bogus infractions. If you're interested in those, ask and I'll explain in an edit. This wasn't a problem though, as my plan was already in action. See, in this state, unpaid wages collect interest. So what was $20 to $40 a night, 5 nights a week, over 1 year, quickly became a decent sum. So I began collecting the names of current and previous employees whom had been screwed over by the company, and collected their documented data, then sent it off to the Department of Labor. At the end of the day, it took a couple of months, but the company was eventually required to pay a decent chunk of change to all parties and a pretty hefty fine on top. Overall, I believe it came out to a little under $100K. I wasn't done though. See, those shady little documents they had us sign claiming we made over minimum wage, affected how the company was reporting its payroll tax. The IRS eventually came in, and hit them for a ton of back taxes, and I received a small portion of the settlement. The IRS used to pay people who tipped them off, don't know if they still do. Finally, I was increasingly aware of the company's under-the-table agreement with their health inspector, which I decided to go ahead and tip off to the health department. This resulted in even more fines and a temporary closure for the joint. Altogether, it ended up costing this dumb little delivery joint a ton of money just to stay open, all cause they wanted 20% of their drivers' tips. The moral here is this: know your labor laws. It's degenerates like these whom profit off the ignorance or fear of a workforce. The more you know about your rights, the fewer idiots like these will be able to survive in the wild. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Edit 1, holy shit. I did not expect this to blow up. To address a few things. The infractions that led to my termination and their bullshit nature are down in the comments, hopefully, they are not buried. I also wanted to address something I saw in the comments quite a bit. If you are in a situation that does not seem right, document everything. Keep a little black notebook, and write down everything. The most important thing you can do to protect yourself from nonsense in the workplace is document, document, document. If you are ever in question of something, be it disability rights at work or earnings, you can always contact your state EEOC branch or Dole branch. They will gladly help you figure out what is and isn't proper. Don't be a person who gets taken advantage of by bad employers. Only by fighting back will they ever learn their lesson. Thanks again for all the questions, and thanks to you fine folk who found this worthy of an award. I probably won't edit again cause the rules of the subreddit say to not make a lot of edits. If there is a reason for a big one though, I will go ahead and make one. Here are the bogus infraction from the comments. So the way this joint worked, was you as a driver got an insulated box that was supposed to contain the order. You weren't supposed to check the box or confirm the order was accurate. That was another guy's job. So my first infraction, said the order checker swapped the addresses on 2 orders I was taking. The second I called in that, the second one was delivered, they told me I delivered the boxes to the wrong places. Strike 1. The second time they dicked me over, they literally just put empty boxes in my delivery boxes with a phone book, and accused me of taking the food. After this, I got permission to start checking the orders after this, and they couldn't get me for a while. Now we drove cars with the company name, phone number, and a vehicle number on the car. For my final one, they claimed someone called in, and said that I had flipped off another driver. I would have to have the world's worst concussion to actually think I could get away with that. No matter what I said though, they took the call-in's word as law. They used that to fire me as my third infraction. I had some choice words for the manager, he looked ready to pop. It was amazing. Posted by user, ROKExpat. Don't want to fix my IT issue. Well, I think it's time for a new CTO. I just want to state that this IT issue is going blow some people's fucking minds. The security flaw that this presented was nothing short of incredible. And the fact that we never had a major security breach is astounding. It truly is. The flaw, you may ask. Everyone in the entire company's password was the same password. Yes folks, you heard that right, every single password to every single employee login was the same password. It was like this before I joined the company, and for quite a few years after. Until, well, enjoy the story. Now, what about the username? That must be the trick, right? Oh yay, that was a trick, the username was the employee email address. I did point out this flaw to my management, and their response was that's not our area to be concerned about, so whatever, it paid well, I'll do my job. And then one day, we had a Windows update, which caused a piece of the software I used at work to break. I submitted a help ticket, and after escalating this issue I got to the CTO. It wasn't a huge company, the CTO said, I don't want to spend the time fixing this, use this workaround, to which I pointed out the workaround slows things down, makes my job harder, and this Windows update has to affect more than just me. I was told to suck it up. Now at the time, the CEO was the son of the founder, and a bit of a fuckwit. I legit feel at this point in time he was just collecting a paycheck, and letting everything run on auto and didn't pay attention. But I was mad at the CTO for brushing me off, so I penned an email to the CEO. It was a short email. I simply said, I discovered a massive security flaw that could potentially expose us to huge liabilities. When would be a good time to discuss this? The response? What security flaw? I decided to demonstrate the flaw. I picked 2 random salespeople, I didn't know them, I got their username and I logged into their systems. And I pulled 2 random customers' personal information. The kind of information that would have easily allowed me to commit identity fraud, pull out credit in their names, etc. All kinds of bad stuff. I emailed the CEO and I explained, anyone who knows the URL to log into our system, can log into any one account, pull up customers' information, and everyone has the same password. To prove this I logged into 2 employees' random accounts, and pulled 2 different customers' profiles, and I've attached them. One single disgruntled employee could screw us over. 25 minutes later my phone rings, it's the CEO. He was nice, very interested in how I did this. This guy isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I pointed out the flaw in plain English, and the liability that it presents to him. I walked him through the process of hacking my own account, as he called it. I'd hate to call it hacking, cause it was so easy. Now it dawned on this CEO that this liability was huge. I pointed out again in our conversation, a single upset employee could destroy us. The fact that it hadn't happened already is nothing short of a miracle. I get told they want me to present this to the executive team, so they can discuss a solution. Honestly, the solution is fucking obvious. So a day later we have the conference call. It's the CEO, the CTO, COO, CFO, the company lawyer, the senior VP, etc. And on the call I demonstrate the flaw and I lay out how I, as a layperson with very little IT background, can figure this out. It's incredible that we have this flaw. Everyone is in agreement that is a huge issue, but the CTO gets very upset at me. He wants me fired for hacking the system. He says that per our employee handbook, what I did is a fireable offense. I point out that I'm not abusing this loophole and I'm only doing it to expose the flaw because I care about the company, and I think this is something that needs to be brought forward. I point out that a former disgruntled employee could log into an account and steal customers' personal information, and if that were traced back to us, the liability would be huge. I could tell our corporate attorney agreed with me and was shocked at what I was demonstrating. The CTO pointed out that former employees' usernames are disabled, to which I pointed out, every employee username is their email address. It would be trivial for a former disgruntled employee to use a different employee email address that they remember to log in, and since everyone's passwords is the same, they don't even have to guess. The CTO points out that we would know who did it cause of the IP address. I pointed out that VPNs are indeed a thing. The corporate attorney actually wasn't familiar with what VPNs do, and I explained it. And what shocked me, if the whole time the only person in the meeting who didn't agree this flaw needs to be changed was the CTO. The CEO made it clear that this issue would be fixed by the end of the business day, that day, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about this. The meeting ended. After the meeting, the CTO called me, privately. He was pissed. I just exposed his incompetence because the system was his design, the decision for everyone to have the same password was his decision. And I know why he did it, cause he was fucking lazy. And I said to the CTO, you're a shitty CTO, you shouldn't be in the position you are, and you're lazy, you should have found a better solution for my help ticket. He stops and asks, so this is about your stupid help ticket? I go, yes it is. He laughs and says he's going to have me fired, and I laugh and go, I'm pretty sure someone is getting fired. I'm also super confident, that's not going to be me. Well, sure enough, later that day we got an email stating that everyone was to change their passwords to something unique. A week later the CEO announced, the old CTO stepped down to spend more time with his family. On the first day of the new CTO tenure, he sent me an email telling me he wanted to personally work on my help ticket, and find a solution around the Windows update. Which I'm pleased to say he did. And I later had conversations with our attorney at a meeting. We legit never had a security breach. Which is simply astounding. The attorney admitted that was just plain dumb luck on our part, and if we would have had a security breach, it would have been very bad for us. If you liked these stories, hit that like button, and leave a comment below. You can upvote these stories by pressing the links in the description. If you want to hear more stories from me, hit the subscribe button, and press the bell icon to be alerted when a new video is posted.